Welcome to King 5 Plus. I'm Greg Copeland. This is The Week. Over the past year, we have brought you stories that reminded us what community, kindness, and resilience really look like. Tonight, we're taking a moment to look back at some of the most heartwarming stories that we've shared, moments of hope, of connection, and people stepping up for one another when it mattered the most. A very sick little girl from Snohomish County was given a second chance at life after a stranger stepped in just at the right moment. We first introduced you to Katja de Groot, who needed a rare life-saving heart transplant on the other side of the country. Her family didn't know how they would get her there until an anonymous donor covered the cost of an emergency flight. King 5's Eric Wilkinson shared that story with us.
Here you go. You want to line some up?
More often than not, life doesn't play out in a straight line.
This is the first domino you, and this is all the things we went through all summer to get all the way to where we are now.
This summer saw Katja de Groot get her fourth heart surgery in her 9 short years of life. Her first came at just 6 days old. This one will hopefully be her last, a rare partial heart transplant. Katja, just one of about 40 kids in the entire world to receive one. Katja sums it all up in 2 simple words.
A lot.
Beep, beep.
First, it was just getting Katja to North Carolina for the transplant. She needed a pricey private jet to keep her surroundings clean and safe.
She really wants to give you a hug. Is that okay?
King 5 viewer John Chantalfalski donated $14,000 to help make that happen. But once on the East Coast, what was supposed to take a few weeks stretched to 2.5 months. Potential donors kept backing out. Katja, who was in heart failure, kept getting sicker.
It is a special kind of hell to go through as a parent.
Then came the domino effect.
I looked at my husband and I said, it's a domino.
A child in the same hospital was getting a full heart transplant so he could give Katja the partial heart she needed, something doctors call a domino surgery.
They chose to share that miracle with another kid. And in doing so, there was 2 miracles that day. We have become an expert at pills.
Finally home, Katja has quite a bit of recovery ahead, but hopes to start living life as a healthy kid for the first time ever.
She wants to get her ears pierced.
You said after my surgery.
Had to wait a few months, though. I don't think the transplant team will be happy with me if I go poking holes in you.
Katja's future remains unclear. Her procedure is so rare, she's part of her own research.
I'm trying to make a heart.
But her family trusts the domino effect will continue to show itself.
Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's a miracle. Maybe it is just a lot of really good people with really good hearts coming together.
And the pieces will continue to fall into place.
We feel so blessed by how many people have fallen in love with the little girl that we've always been in love with.
Eric Wilkinson.
I've been sitting here for hours.
King 5 News.
Well, Federal Way Deacon spent years walking through locked doors most people never see, offering compassion and spiritual support inside the Tacoma ICE Detention Center. Immigration reporter Sharon Yu brought us a rare look at life inside that facility through the eyes of someone dedicated to serving others.
That's St. Vincent's here.
Under the eyes of the patron saint of prisoners,
He did the work with the poor.
Deacon Juan Lescano tries to do the same.
I do bring liturgy of the word with Eucharist. Good morning. Morning.
Every Tuesday, with his bag,
I have my stole that I wear.
he leaves his church in Federal Way to lead services inside the Northwest ICE Processing Center in Tacoma.
There's a lot of confusion, now more than ever. Inconsistency right now, lack of knowledge, lack of certainty. But you know what? In spite of all that, I see people who have a strong faith.
With ICE detention at the highest level on record nationwide, Lescano says what he sees inside tests even a man of God.
Gosh, I don't know if I was in their situation, would I feel the same way? I'm not sure I would, to be very honest.
And as an immigrant himself, he struggles with how detainees are portrayed.
It's hard when I hear them being depicted as criminals.
So, like he's done for the past 4 years, he pulls up outside to deliver a message of hope.
They ask for rosaries, Bibles, and prayer cards.
Walking the path of St. Vincent de Paul.
God bless you.
Showing up for people on the margins, including those behind bars.
Tomorrow, the Archbishop said, you can only do one thing. this would be the only thing I would do.
Now, Washington's healthcare workforce got a major boost when an anonymous donor stepped forward with a $50 million gift. That donation will cover tuition for students in the University of Washington's Medical Laboratory Science program. King 5's Natalie Swaby reported on how that gift is opening doors for future healthcare workers.
In a room full of University of Washington seniors, one sentence stops time.
The rest of your senior year in-state tuition has been paid for.
A jaw-dropping, heart-racing sentence.
Man, I'm still processing that bit. This is so generous and surprising.
A $50 million gift made possible by a mystery donor.
Someone really great. They didn't name names, but amazing.
Whoever it was, I don't think I can express in words how grateful I am.
The anonymous benefactor even delivered lunch. Dick's Drive-In Burgers.
The donor really loves Dick's. And so this was a way to connect them, even though we couldn't share the name of the donor. It connects them with something that the donor really loves.
The gift is going to UW's Medical Laboratory Science program, wiping out tuition costs for students' clinical rotations in their final 2 quarters.
And for our students, that is a huge deal. That is about $4,000 to $5,000 per quarter, so $8,000 to $10,000 that they're going to be able to save.
We have some students who experience food insecurity, and when you're at that level of experiencing insecurity financially, tuition is just yet another burden.
I work a part-time job right now. I just finished working 2 full shifts over the weekend, the holiday weekend. I'm exhausted.
For Ellie Lowe, the gift gives her a chance to catch her breath.
To just know that, there are 2 quarters where I don't have to take out more loans. I don't have to work as hard as I have been. I can finally focus in on the career that I absolutely love. Is an incredible, incredible gift.
I just hope that they can see it in our faces. We're all so relieved and so happy, and this is more than money. This is so much meaning for all of our lives.
In Seattle, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
For more than a decade, one very good boy provided quiet comfort in some of King County's most difficult courtrooms. This year, the prosecuting attorney's office said goodbye to Errol, the county's courthouse dog, as he retired after helping countless crime victims through the legal process. Again, here's Natalie Swaby with Errol's heartfelt send-off.
For Errol,
He's very interested in the camera.
it's one of his last official walks through his workplace. After a decade of service, King County's courthouse dog is calling it a career.
I just think we're all feeling a little nostalgic and a little sad, and also just honored to have had this time with him.
Errol became a fixture on the 5th floor, joining prosecutors when he was just 2 years old. Over the years, he's provided crucial comfort to crime survivors and witnesses during difficult cases.
Speeding driver, hit and run driver. Yep, a lot of impaired drivers. And of course, Lindsay was killed, and those are her beautiful sons.
The crash left the mom's boys behind. The oldest, Malachi, witnessed the aftermath. Prosecutors wanted him to testify against the intoxicated driver who killed his mother, but trauma silenced him, creating a dilemma.
What sort of, strategies if this little boy will never open up and talk to us, because he wouldn't speak to us.
That's where Errol stepped in, helping Malachi face his worst memories in court. The dog sat beside him during the proceedings that ended with a conviction. He also eased the pain for Army veteran Brent Arancio's family.
Brent was a very good man.
A robber killed him, leaving behind young sons who formed a connection with the canine.
To where a dog is able to make a child who lost his dad to murder feel like something in this world is okay. And to me, that's huge.
Here, Errol spent his days seeking out ways to serve.
Errol, get?
Meeting of the Metropolitan King County Council.
It's why King County Council chambers filled with visitors today, waiting for Errol to make his entrance.
A proclamation to recognize a retiring member of our county's workforce, Errol.
He's done so much work individually with different people on so many different levels, and to have that be honored by the county is just really wonderful.
Today marks Errol's last official day. Prosecuting attorney's office says they're working on a plan for the next courthouse dog. In Seattle, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
Well, more than 80 years after it was discarded and dumped into Lake Washington, a World War II relic took to the skies once again. Its journey back home was only made possible by a couple of kids who saw a rare opportunity and dove in headfirst.
Finally, after 41 years,
The bee stung for life.
a dream come true.
Never thought I would see this happen.
Nobody knows more about the history of this plane
Pretty cool.
than Kirkland's Matt McCauley, whose love for history goes all the way back to high school.
That plate was there.
And to hear what he hears
The guns are live, right?
and see what he sees,
Paint with the red lettering that had the Army.
you need to know a little of what he knows. Let's take you back to 1945. Magnuson Park was a naval air station, headquarters for the 13th Naval District. Naval records show one particular Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver entered service on June 30th, 1944. This aircraft history card shows it was transferred to Seattle just 6 months later. After a hard landing, it was stricken.
They started taking parts off of it, used it as a fire training aid. They'd throw avgas on it and light it on fire and let the crews put the fire out.
With training complete, they were loaded up on a Navy crane ship, hauled out into the middle of the lake, and dumped in 150 feet of water. 40 years later, two college students armed with a little knowledge and know-how set out to bring one of those Helldivers up from the depths.
Thinking back to the fact that it was 41 years ago.
I caught up with McCauley at the park last week on the anniversary of that salvage.
The dude you had to have been really passionate about.
Oh, we were crazy. Yeah, we were crazy about it.
King 5 was there on the morning of July 15th, 1984, as 19-year-old McCauley and his crew used floats to raise the remains of the plane to the surface. The all-day ordeal drew some onlookers, but salvaging the shell of an old corroded plane didn't garner much media attention at the time. Not until the following month, when the U.S. Navy decided to stake its claim on that plane and others the pair found.
They should be raised under the auspices of the Navy, has never given up ownership to them, has not abandoned them in any way.
It seems the plane did have some value after all. A young McCauley sure thought so.
Seeing as how there are only two SB-2Cs known, I would like to see this go into being restored, either helping restore another one or have this one itself restored.
Long story short, the boys won the legal battle and the plane was sold to a collector the following year. Which brings us back to Colorado. Of the 7,140 SB-2Cs built between 1943 and 1945, only a handful remain today. And this is one of only 3 in the world that actually flies. For visitors, it's a cool plane. For history buffs, it's a World War II icon. For McCauley,
Watching it actually fly in front of a crowd of delighted people who are still really interested in World War II aviation is just incredibly satisfying.
Well, coming up, a simple exchange of letters that connected students in Washington State with children living in a war zone. Welcome back to The Week. An Anacortes mother returned home after delivering supplies to soldiers and civilians in Ukraine. But one of the most meaningful gifts she brought had nothing to do with food or armor. It was a pen pal program connecting local students with children living through war, offering a rare sense of hope and human connection. Here's North Bureau Chief Eric Wilkinson.
So you've noticed some of these. They're hard to spot.
a world history lesson in this 5th grade class where history is being written in real time.
If you see an object that is suspicious, or if you recognize it to be a mine.
Marquetta Varel is an Anacortes mom who grew up behind the Iron Curtain. Today, she runs the Sunflower Fund, which to date has brought nearly $400,000 in Western Washington aid to the Ukrainian people.
It's been really rough psychologically for Ukrainians.
Especially rough on Ukrainian children, who can feel abandoned by the rest of the world as Russian bombs rain down regularly. That's why Marquetta started a pen pal program at Anacortes' Island View Elementary.
Your letters are beautiful.
Students trading letters ranging from the frivolous
When I grow up, I want to be a vet or an actress.
to the frightening,
What is it like to live in a war zone?
making faraway friends,
I hope it will make her have something to look forward to every day.
while learning lessons about the fragility of life.
He may like step on a landmine that he may not know and just die. It could happen in a split second.
Meantime, in Ukraine, more than 1,600 schools have either been damaged or destroyed. Life during wartime goes on. Varel says even with Ukraine's dramatic drone strike that took out a third of Russia's cruise missile carriers last week, it'll take more than the military for the nation to survive.
They're going to inherit this world that we're dealing with now.
It will take allies like the kids in this classroom making friendship bracelets and sending cards with the message, "Be brave" in Ukrainian. 4 years of war, with children still waiting for adults to learn simple lessons.
Killing each other for just some land is not worth it. It's not worth risking millions and millions of lives. I hope that we can kind of like make peace with those wars and kind of like connect with each other and decide to do things a little bit differently instead of choosing violence.
In Anacortes, Eric Wilkinson.
Thank you.
King 5 News.
All right, I think we have everything.
From Kitsap County to Ukraine, help also came in the form of training and expertise. A Paulsbo firefighter traveled overseas to help train Ukrainian first responders as they continue to save lives under constant threat. King 5's Eric Wilkinson told the story of service without borders.
The sort of training that firefighters do here in the Pacific Northwest actually corresponds perfectly to the sort of skills that first responders need every single day in the war zone in Ukraine.
And I connect that like that.
Kitsap County firefighters train for the unexpected. They are skills soon to be transferred to emergency crews in Ukraine battling the unthinkable.
Need is tremendous, right? That there are civilians caught in the crossfire of this war every day.
Cool.
You want to try him? Try it out.
This is the same training firefighters from Paulsbo will be conducting in Ukraine all next week. Technical rope rescues from collapsed buildings. Here, the cause could be a natural disaster, but this training will soon be used to combat a disaster that is entirely man-made.
Rescue is rescue, right? Whether the building is collapsed because of an earthquake or because of a missile strike, the work is the same.
This is Jake Galander's second such mission to Ukraine through his international rescue and relief organization, MPAC Northwest. He says the people of Ukraine are incredibly grateful, and as American politicians waver in their support for the country, the work his group is doing is more important than ever, a situation that hits this 25-year veteran firefighter in the heart.
That bell goes, and like these dudes are running to the truck, throwing on their body armor.
Wearing body armor is something this Kitsap County firefighter has never even had to consider.
These dudes are kicking ass and taking names every day.
Jake says even more appreciated than the technical training the Ukrainians are receiving is the emotional support from firefighting brethren on the other side of the globe. The war now in its 4th year, with no end in sight.
The one thing that is the same everywhere is firefighters. I love these guys, especially in this moment, knowing that they're not forgotten.
Jake leaves for Ukraine on Thursday for his 10-day mission, a mission he hopes he doesn't have to repeat next year. In Kitsap County, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Just in time for the holidays, a U.S. veteran and his wife were reunited with a very special family member. The kitten he rescued while serving in a war-torn region of the Middle East finally made it home. King 5's Maddie White was there at SeaTac Airport for the emotional reunion.
Looks like it.
For Palmer Jones and his wife Delaney,
She's here? Uh-oh. She's here.
1 week without her has felt like an eternity.
She's waiting. I know she's hungry too. That girl can put it down.
They're just one signature away.
My mom's been super excited to meet her. Of course, this is the first grandchild.
A first grandchild born and raised in the Middle East.
Not the whole cart.
Now reuniting with her mom and dad.
Here we go.
On her first ever trip to the United States of America. Meet Imchi.
I'm so happy.
Imchi's dad is a U.S. veteran.
Bombs were literally getting dropped around her.
He's deployed on private defense work with the military. His wife moved there too.
She was in such a dirty area, but she was had this pure white coat. And
then to his surprise.
Yeah, she just started hanging out around me for no reason. And I tried to ignore her, and then she kind of stole my heart. And then I had to then steal her and take her home.
From that day forward, Imchi lived with the Joneses. When they found out they could come home for the holidays, they were thrilled. But how were they going to get Imchi to the States?
We had a long trip.
That's when the nonprofit SPCA International stepped in.
They do so much for us, why can't we give back to them in any way that we possibly can?
For no charge, SPCA got Imchi vaccinated, microchipped, and certified to enter the U.S. on Alaska Air. Lori Califf says it's their way of giving back.
Got your collar back.
He didn't do that. Most of the time it's imminent death for these dogs and cats who are in war-torn areas in the world.
She's showing you her beans.
Imchi seemed thankful to be back in the arms of her parents.
It's baby's first Thanksgiving and Christmas.
And this Thanksgiving, there's plenty of thanks to go around.
I'm holding her the whole flight, so I'm getting her the whole car ride.
Maddie White, King 5 News.
A promise made more than a decade ago was finally fulfilled in Western Washington. A full-scale Viking ship built in Anacortes took to the water for its maiden voyage. Now the only Coast Guard-approved Viking ship in the world, the Valkyrie, set sail as a tribute to history, craftsmanship, and determination. King 5's Bridget Chavez took us on board.
At Deception Pass, the tide changes fast. But for a few precious moments,
it looks like it's going to be a great day.
Everything is still.
Odin must have been helping us out here, I think, you know?
A stretch of water known for its power.
13 years, a lot of work.
And a ship waiting for its moment.
People just pitched in.
Made from cedar and oak, the 60-foot vessel is the only Coast Guard-approved Viking ship in the world. This is Valkyrie.
It was a promise.
A promise David Knudsen made to his late father.
I said, Dad, I just want to tell you how much I love you. And he started to tear up, you know, and I started to tear up. It was a mess. And I said, I'm going to build you a Viking ship. And after I said that, I thought, what in the hell? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm getting into.
A feat spanning 3 generations. One son built the ship by his side, and the other leads from the helm.
Is it hard to learn how to captain one of these?
We'll see. There's a learning curve for sure.
The Knudsen family vision.
I could really feel like ancestors kind of reaching through, you know.
What do you think your grandfather would say to see all this?
I think he would laugh, and he'd say something in Danish that I wouldn't be able to pronounce.
Brought to life by a crew that became a community.
There are good ships and there are wooden ships. There are ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships. May they always be.
They laughed, they hugged, and took in the view. Then came the ritual. Coffee, pastries, and a Swinomish elder's blessing. With the blessing complete and the tide in their favor, the moment was here.
Okay, all aboard.
I would take the Northwest Passage.
One final song to send them off.
Reaching for the Northward Sea.
A ship built on a promise. Now moving with purpose.
In the times we live in today, it's pretty rough. I mean, people aren't getting along with one another, respecting one another. And I really hope this ship goes out and brings community together.
On its very first voyage, Valkyrie was doing just that.
Still ahead, the teacher who kept on teaching even when she couldn't be in the classroom. Welcome back to The Week. For one Anacortes teacher, back-to-school season looked very different this year. As she battled a brain tumor, she found ways to keep teaching even when she couldn't stand in front of her students. North Bureau Chief Eric Wilkinson shared her story of strength and purpose.
Jessica Poland packs lunches in advance of next week's first day of school. You'll understand why in a minute. Jessica has been a teacher for 25 years, the last 11 of those at Anacortes High School. This year's back to school, different than any other.
There's always sort of mixed emotions as an educator.
In July, Jessica was diagnosed with an invasive brain tumor. Her first thoughts were for her family. Her second, for her students.
I did call a colleague and I said, hey, you might have to teach my AP classes this year.
Jessica has already undergone 2 brain surgeries and faces 6 more weeks of radiation. While her body will be in the hospital, her heart will be in her classroom.
When I watch kids launch into different frames of life where they are helping and giving to others, it feels like an exponential multiplier.
And that's exactly what's happening across Anacortes. Students, friends, and strangers all donating to an online fundraiser to help Jennifer's family through her healing. Hundreds of people raising nearly $30,000 in just 3 days. By the way, those lunches Jessica was packing aren't for students.
Here's your lunch.
What?
I brought you lunch.
What is it?
They're for her fellow teachers, like Evan Williamson, as they prepare for the year ahead.
She's very much so my hero.
Williamson was Jessica's student teacher 3 years ago.
I mean, you will hear my favorite teacher changed my life. You hear those things a lot.
Never been able to conjure a setup as lovely as you have put together here. So thank you.
And for her fill-in in room 113 while she's gone.
Yeah, all the cool girls are in room 113.
The students inspiring her recovery and return.
I feel a great responsibility on my shoulders that I need to do my best to help kids prepare to enter the world that we live in now.
Those who will be waiting in this classroom, Jessica's very own son, a freshman this year. It's never easy to be the teacher's kid, but in this case,
I know it's going to make her a lot happier, and that makes me happy.
But once a teacher, always a teacher. Jessica fully expects to return to her classroom soon. Then it's back to the regularly scheduled school year.
We'll see how it pans out. Mm-hmm. But I'll always know when there's homework.
In Anacortes, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Well, decades after a devastating injury left him paralyzed, a Kitsap County Sheriff's deputy continued to defy expectations. Even after his death, John Strahan's story wasn't over. This year, his ashes were prepared for a journey to space, a final tribute to a life without limits. King 5's Maddie White and photojournalist Joseph Huerta told that story.
There's something about the sky.
The sky is so clear, you can just see every single star.
Out here in Squim.
It's amazing. I've just been out there thinking, God, he's going to be up there pretty soon.
For Jenny Strawn, the sky symbolizes both her future.
In the sky, that's John.
And her past.
Passion was being a pilot. He wanted that. He loved being in the air.
Jenny's late husband, John, was forced to stop flying planes at far too young an age. In the late 70s, he was working as a Kitsap County Sheriff's deputy.
They were waiting for a confidential informant for burglaries that were happening. He had been making a sandwich and he looked up.
A Paulsbo police officer's gun accidentally went off, shooting John in the neck. The bullet hurting his spine.
I think when he first got paralyzed, they told him you'd probably live about 10 years, John.
But it didn't hurt his spirit.
And he lived 44.
John defied expectations.
I swear this man did not realize he was paralyzed.
Until the bitter end.
Passed away in July of 23.
Was it directly related to?
It was. It's not fair that he's gone. He should still be here because he loved life. No matter what, he loved life. And if they ever send anyone in a rocket, he would have loved to been the first one to go.
Jenny's now preparing to send portions of John's cremains on 2 Celestis Memorial spaceflight missions. The first rocket circles the Earth's orbit.
It's really not more expensive than a memorial service.
And another flies even higher.
Deep outer space.
Just like John always wanted.
I do think it will give me closure. I do.
Limitless at last.
I keep seeing you as you're talking, like your eyes are just shifting over and you just keep looking over towards the mountains.
I just think he's there. Like I want him to just be free.
Maddie White, King 5 News.
Well, this year marked a major milestone for a landmark in Seattle's running community. Super Jock and Jill, the first female-owned running store in the country, celebrated 50 years of supporting generations of runners. King 5's Bridget Chavez took us inside the shop and its lasting legacy.
For 50 years, Super Jock and Jill has helped people find the right fit, one pair at a time. And for this community, that means this store is more than a place to buy shoes.
I'll be back with these in a second.
There's a real difference in being sold a pair of shoes
All right, got some ideas.
and being helped into the right ones.
Just double check the fit on this and see what you think. Make sure it works well.
That's at the core of what Super Jock and Jill is all about.
What do you think? I never see myself as an owner, as I do see myself as a custodian. I mean, you got this brand, it's bigger than I am.
That's Chet James, one of the owners. His mom, Laurel, founded this store back in 1975, the same year women were finally allowed to compete in the Boston Marathon.
My mom made a huge commitment to do something that no one had ever done before. And that was a big move on her part. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here. And so that's a shout out to her. Try this on your left.
But long before all of this existed, the James house was basically a running hub.
Keep it on. Yeah.
Laurel's 5 sons ran for Seattle legend Coach Pat Tyson, the same Pat Tyson who ran at Oregon with Steve Prefontaine.
He rented a room from us, and he'd bring this famous runner, Steve Prefontaine, to our house and stay with us. And my mom got the bug.
Whenever Prefontaine traveled to Seattle, he stayed with them, trained with them, and became part of their family.
He got killed in a car accident about a year later. And she said, that's it. I'm going to start a running store. He's kind of inspiration for her to start the store. And then try that guy.
The store quickly turned into a meeting place for runners from all over the Northwest, with a location next to Seattle's Green Lake. In 1981, Chet stepped in to run the store, eventually buying the shop with his wife, Judy.
There's always been the same kind of feeling about the store, you know, trying to make it community-oriented, trying to make people feel comfortable.
That feeling has carried this store for 5 decades, built on connection, consistency, and commitment.
It's not a sale. It's trying to help you learn how to buy something as opposed to selling you something. I think that's what I take a lot of pride in.
Keeping Super Jock and Jill at the heart of Seattle's running community for 50 years.
I mean, there's not one place I could think of in the U.S. that would be as cool.
In Seattle, Bridget Chavez, King 5 News.
Color draws visitors from all around the world to the Skagit Valley Tulip Festival, but one farmer experiences that spectacle a little differently. He's colorblind, but still welcomes the world to his fields, proving beauty can be seen in more ways than one. Here's King 5's Farah Jaffer.
It's a breathtaking view. Rows upon rows of tulips ready to capture the gaze of thousands of visitors to Tulip Valley Farms in Mount Vernon.
Good-looking flowers.
The Skagit Valley Tulip Festival's getting underway. Farmer Andrew Miller is keeping a close watch on every row, every tulip, every bud. But
Oh, and there's another one.
with a second pair of eyes from his wife, Holly.
Do you see that red one right there?
I see no red ones.
Really?
No.
Here, I'll show you.
I'm my spotter.
When it comes to picking the colors for the tulips or deciding what's going to be planted, what might surprise people?
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm the only colorblind tulip farmer in the world, right? And it's one of those things where it's not so much that I don't see the colors, I just see it differently, which is really apropos for me. We like to say that's just not the way Andrew sees it.
Holly has a crucial role.
Chief Color Officer at Tulip Valley Farms.
The farm is just a few years old.
My poor wife, right? This is not what she was thinking when I was going to law school or getting my MBA, right? You know, you think you support, but my family is so phenomenal, right? It's kind of like, my kids like to say, Dad says a lot of things. But then when Dad says we're going to become a tulip farming family, it was quite, I think, a shock to everybody.
We'll leave it for longer.
All right, let it grow.
Yeah.
Andrew was done with his corporate job in Seattle and commuting from Puyallup, Holly's hometown, where they started raising their 6 kids. His love for tulips is rooted in his Mount Vernon childhood. Other than pure passion, everyone is digging in and learning as they go.
So there were, I think, 979,000 bulbs. And they came in boxes, about 500 in a box. And I didn't know what these tulips looked like because they just had the name, they didn't have a photo. So I looked up every variety on the internet.
She decides all of the bulbs that we plant, and I plant them. So she picks them, I plant them. This is orange emperor, right?
No, it's a yellow, golden emperor.
Golden emperor. I'll walk out here with my daughter, because my sons are colorblind as well, and I'll say, I just can't wait for these red tulips to come up. And she'll say, Dad, they're already up. There he goes.
All your senses come alive at Tulip Valley Farms from what you see, smell, and hear. Mini Highlanders Sugar, Pepper, and Rollo are on loan from Cleellum's Compact Cattle Co.
Oh, you want me to get your bangs? Get your bangs. Now you can go be on TV.
From the furry friends to the flowers, the sentiments are sprouting.
Watching the people walk around with buckets full of flowers, they've got these smiles on their faces. They're so happy, and it gets me.
It's something I get to do with my family that matters to our community, that we get to share with so many people, and that I'm always trying to see things from a different perspective. And that very well may be because I am genuinely biologically seeing things different than other people. Rabbits.
Different, but certainly all sewed into the same shared love of tulips.
Still ahead, a baseball moment that turned a simple act of kindness into a memory that will last a lifetime. Back to the week, a Kent family found themselves at the center of a special bond between Seattle Children's patients and a Mariners bullpen coach. What started as visits and conversations turned into a connection built on hope and heart. King 5's Jim Nelson brought us that story from T-Mobile Park.
The Mariners' first division title in 24 years is well within reach. A chance to seize the moment.
What's going on?
That might as well be the mantra of bullpen coach Tony Arnerich.
If I can bring them some hope and some smiles again, that's what it's all about.
He's made a habit of visiting kids at Seattle Children's to lift their spirits. He's also invited kids to meet the team, to get that big league treatment.
Kids, shouldn't have to go through stuff like that, and there's no reason. It's just bad luck, really, that they're born with something.
This is Cove. He's 13 months. He just learned to crawl.
Cove and his family made the trip from Kent earlier this season.
He was born essentially with a half of a heart.
They were invited after stumbling across Arnerich's story on social media.
It's just kind of felt like you feel seen, and we always want him to feel normal, but to be also appreciated for, the things that he's gone through. So, yeah.
And in the process, they've met somebody who's fought some of those same battles.
To know someone's thriving and doing well, it's a public figure, and has a great life and has gone through something similar, that gives hope.
Arnerich is that public figure.
So when I was born, they told my parents I had a heart condition, and so when I was 2, I had open heart surgery, and then they said eventually you're probably going to have your valve replaced.
In 2012, he had more surgery, but that time there were complications.
It didn't look good for a while, but I was able to luckily, get through it and come out on the other side, and now I'm here, and I feel like I owe it to a lot of people to give back because I'm really fortunate to be here.
Seizing the moment.
On a historic night at the ballpark, one Mariners fan turned a record-setting moment into something even more meaningful. After Cal Raleigh hit his 60th home run, a simple act of kindness gave a young boy a priceless souvenir and a memory he'll never forget. King 5's Brady Wakayama spoke with a family who received the ball.
A complete random act of kindness that made a lifetime moment for him that he'll always remember.
They say there's no crying in baseball, but on Wednesday night, 12-year-old Marcus Ruelos couldn't help it.
I was crying tears of joy.
Marcus and his family were sitting out in right field at T-Mobile Park when Cal Raleigh smashed his 60th home run of the season.
I started noticing that it was coming to my section, and it ricocheted off people, and it actually hit my mom's head.
The ball made it into the hands of a Mariners fan sitting behind them. Marcus says as he was going to high-five the man, the fan gave him the baseball instead.
I couldn't believe it. I started kissing the ball and stuff. It did taste like dirt, but I just couldn't believe it.
Neither could his dad, who couldn't help but ask for a picture with the man he considers an inspiration.
Kindness still matters in this world. Be humble, be kind, just a cool lesson, you know?
He's a legend. I hope we share our appreciation for him for giving that ball away.
One sports memorabilia store told us the family could have cashed in.
Anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 baseball. Some of the larger auction houses are considering it being much more.
Instead, Marcus traded with the Mariners the historic ball for an autographed bat from the Big Dumper himself.
Money doesn't matter. I would have gave the ball if I didn't get anything. It's just for Cal. It's his special moment with his family, just like how we had ours.
Well, during a 4th of July game in Seattle, the biggest cheer of the day came before the first pitch. A 102-year-old veteran took the mound, delivering a moment that stole the spotlight and touched an entire ballpark. King 5's Drew Mickelson was there.
Lots of fireworks in this year's Independence game here today at T-Mobile, but the biggest highlight of all may have happened before the Mariners ever took the field.
A lot of people.
They came early for free hats.
Isn't that something?
These fans are in store for much more.
Maybe I should rub your shoulder so it's loosened up.
Harvey Drejos, a World War II veteran and Purple Heart recipient.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good luck.
He's 102 years old.
Yes.
And he's throwing out the first pitch.
And then I want a hot dog and a Coke, damn it.
But before hitting the field,
hey, that looked good.
He made a little time.
I want to shake your hand.
Aha!
Thank you for your service.
You're quite welcome.
Here you're throwing the first pitch today.
Yeah, I hope I don't screw it up.
For folks
It's an honor to meet you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
who know a little about service.
This day and age is super inspiring to be around someone like you.
To be 102, there's very few of us left.
Wow, look at this. It's almost game time.
Don't let all these eyes get to you.
No.
He's trying to jinx you. And even at 100 plus, Harvey still feels an urge to serve and inspire.
When I got blown up on Okinawa, and they gave me the last rites and all that good stuff, I made a foxhole promise. Good Lord, if you keep me alive, then I'll dedicate my life helping people. And that's what I do. I still do.
Have you thrown a first pitch before?
No.
Well, now as good a time as any.
Yeah.
What are you going to be thinking when you throw that ball?
Don't let me screw it up.
It's finally showtime. The crowd that came for a baseball game and maybe a free hat.
You got it? Okay, take that.
Quickly realized Harvey
Aim at the moose.
is what this day is all about.
Here, right on.
You heard about that deal that Harvey made with God after he got, quote, blowed up? He lived up to it. After getting out of the military, he served as a police officer, and during his long retirement, he has volunteered with Kiwanis, Rotary, and the Red Cross. In Seattle, Drew Mickelson, King 5 News.
After nearly a century of pouring drinks and serving the community, Seattle's last Roadhouse prepared to close its doors. The bar's 94-year-old owner, who had been behind the bar since the 1960s, marked the end of an era in Lake City. King 5's Jim Nelson told the story of a place that meant more than just a drink.
At Seattle's last Roadhouse.
Can you guys hear us out there? All right.
Well, welcome to the shanty.
A capacity crowd
$10 cover.
piles in on a Friday, the only night they're open.
2 Sauvignon Blancs. Special night.
The band belts out a familiar question that so many have pondered, but not behind the bar.
I'm only 94.
John Spaccarotelli has been pouring drinks for 6 decades.
What?
Can we take a photo with
You have to be quick.
That's what brought us here.
Well, I didn't know you were coming.
You see, the shanty is a family business.
Dana! Dana!
Yeah, including daughters Dana and Darcy.
It's our life. We don't know any different. He's had it before we were born, so it is like another sibling.
The bar opened in 1935. John took over in 1961.
You don't have to go downtown. You don't have to go to Ballard.
Here, it's about community.
He gets that one free. I'll just put yours on here. Keep it open. Talk to people. And make a dollar or two.
But it's hard work. And so, in 2 weeks, John's retiring and closing Seattle's last roadhouse, his sweetheart.
She takes a lot of my time. So when I got Mr. John at home, sometimes I'm a little lax. Then I have ketchup at home. And not on French fries either.
Time to catch up on life.
I play the piano a little bit. I practice, yeah. That's another thing. I need more time on the piano.
The end of one chapter.
Keep on chucking.
Just the beginning of the next. In Seattle, Jim Nelson.
It's getting full in here.
King 5 News.
From small acts of kindness to life-changing moments, these stories remind us what's possible when people show up for one another. As we look ahead, we'll keep sharing these stories that connect us and the ones that remind us why they matter. Thanks for watching The Week.